switching gears a little bit, what was home life like with us four growing up? What do you remember most about home life?
Busy.
How so?
I kept one calendar on the refrigerator, and I had everybody's appointments on there. Appointments, games, and you got up in the morning and looked at it and figured out what you had, how many stops you had to make that day. You all needed individual attention at different times, and we tried to give it. On Saturdays, Dad and I would split up, and each of us take 2 kids and get them to their games, and we'd see each other at the end of the day. And there were more tournaments than you could shake a stick at, so it was Saturday and Sunday. And the first Saturday we didn't have to go to a game, we looked at each other and said, what are you supposed to do on Saturdays? It was busy, it was lively.
It was noisy.
Noisy.
Because I think one of the first things we remarked upon when all of you were gone, all of you were, at school. Well, Ted by this time was living in an apartment somewhere in Cincinnati, was how quiet the house had become. It's like we couldn't believe it was so quiet with nobody running around. But
messy.
It was always noise. You guys would go outside and play wiffle ball on the front driveway. And so we'd be sitting in our family room, we hear that damn wiffle ball banging into the garage
It was
doors.
a tennis ball.
Well,
Play
we could
fast
play
pitch
wiffle
tennis
too.
ball.
Yeah, but we hear that thing banging into the garage door, bam, bam, bam. And then we always knew who won the game, because whoever lost would come in crying.
Or
and the one who won would come in cheering,
I am the champion. You are the champion.
So every day, or it seemed like every day, we had somebody coming in crying and somebody coming in cheering. And that was the
I'd
boys.
say they were a
Rachel
little
didn't get involved in
competitive.
that. Rachel didn't get involved in that. So there was always something going on. Always something.
What did we like to do? What did you like to do with us as a family? What were the things you enjoyed doing?
We loved going on vacation.
When we finally got a chance to do it.
Yeah, when we finally got a chance to do it. And that was because we could all just be together without us having appointments, games, things that would take some of us away. We always ate dinner together.
Yeah.
In the evening. I would say every one of my children is brilliant. They really are. They're all funny, which is important.
What would you say is the key to a successful family? And as it relates to that, a successful marriage?
I'll let you handle that one.
Well, you have to give an opinion. For me, a successful family is when you can talk about how you feel to each other. And that you feel safe, that people will accept that and still love you. I think a successful family means that everybody's needs get met. And for every child and adult, that'll be different, what those needs are. Well, and it goes without saying, love. I think Dad and I learned pretty early on that for us, the thing that worked best with our children was that we were the boss, and our children weren't going to be our friends necessarily. They didn't always like what we said no to, as Ted didn't when he told me he hated me 1,000 times. But the one thing that was really good for your dad and my marriage, but also for the way we raised our children, was that our values were similar. And so I can remember clearly one time Ted putting us to the test. You know, he asked me about how late he could stay out one night after a dance, and I told him, and then he went down, he hated my answer, and then he went downstairs and asked Dad, and Dad gave him the same answer, and Ted swore that we had talked about it in advance. But we hadn't. He was just then asking, you know. So that, you know, that taught me a lot, that, you know, we didn't have to work at it. Our values were just similar, and we weren't always in sync, but we'd balance each other out. If I get too upset about something, Dad would say, hey, look at, you know, all boys do this, or whatever. So, successful marriage. I think it's the commitment you have to each other. You have to start with the base of loving each other, because that feeling of being in love is going to evaporate at various times. But if you have a commitment, that can carry you through the times where you think your partner is a pain in the behind. And I'm sure you have felt that at times.
Well, I'm sure you have.
Rarely, but
I'm sure you haven't, right?
the other thing is being willing to forgive. That's a big thing. If, you know, I try to ask myself when I'm in one of these, I know I'm right, and, you know, he's going to apologize before I speak to him again. Where I think to myself, do I want to be right, or do I want a good relationship? So, usually the answer is I want a good relationship. So I initiate the talk, which is more often the case.
Always the case.
All right? What do you think makes a good family?
I agree with you 100% of that.
Seriously.
What makes a good family? Well, I think it means creating some space for everybody. So I think, if not consciously, certainly subconsciously, we try to be as involved and as interested in all the activities that all of you did. And I try not to pick out one activity as being more important than something else that somebody had to do. And I think one of the secrets of successful marriage is being willing, at least every once in a while, to do what the other person wants to do instead of just what you want to do. And so I think both your mother and I have bent over for the other person to go along with what they were proposing, even if it was something that we weren't too much in favor of.